Whether or not you win a KvK or lose a KvK could all come down to the quality of the garrisons that you use against your enemy. So today I'm going to share with you guys the current garrison meta in 2026, the best commander pairs that you can be using right now, and we're going to break this video down by infantry, archer, cavalry, and leadership. So if you guys want to jump to a particular garrison in this video, go ahead and use the chapters down below. But before we jump in, of course, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now, as you guys know, I'm a partner creator with Rise of Kingdoms, so if you want more Rise of Kingdoms content, drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel, because I don't typically do rally garrison videos on this channel. So one, if you want more content like this, the only way I'm gonna know that you want it is if you actually like the video. And two, I've had some of you ask me for a garrison guide, and so I'm going to be giving the people what they want today, and perhaps we will continue this series in the future if you guys really enjoy this video. Now, with that being said, let's jump right in here, and we're going to start actually with infantry for a couple of different reasons. First of all, historically infantry has been the best troop type for a garrison in Rise of Kingdoms, and right now that's actually not the case, which is a little bit bizarre. I think the main reason for that is because the infantry garrisons are some of the oldest garrisons out right now, and we are expecting a new infantry garrison commander sometime before the end of the year. I'm predicting like probably the end of December, maybe early January, but we're not that far away from a new infantry garrison. But either way, let's jump right in here and talk about infantry. Okay, and we can't talk about infantry garrisons without talking about Gorgo. She's not the newest garrison commander that infantry has gotten, but she is the most impactful for the most part, and that's for a couple of different reasons. First of all, she actually has a lower rage requirement of 900, which makes her great as a primary commander. She also has the defense tree, which is historically quite strong for garrison. We have a really nice stat spread of a ton of attack, but also a good chunk of health here as well. We have a normal damage received debuff, and we have some extra normal damage dealt after dealing smite damage. We have a little bit of a shield here, so there's a lot to love about Gorgo, and there's a reason that when she came into the game she was insane, and she is still to this day being used. As you guys can see, I got her back in 2023. The end of 23 is insane, bro. So the fact that she is still part of the meta to this day is wild, and there's a couple of different commanders you can pair with Gorgo in 2026. Of course, we have to talk about Tokugawa, who is the latest commander that infantry got for garrison, and I feel like he wasn't as impactful as Gorgo, right? Like Gorgo came out and completely changed the meta. Tokugawa came out and was just like a pair you could use, right? Like he wasn't that crazy. He came out like a year or more after Gorgo, and his active skill is a higher rage requirement. It's only 100 more damage factor, a tiny defense debuff, and a shield. I feel like the active skill on Gorgo is just better. I mean, it's a 900 rage requirement. What are we talking about? All that to say, I feel like Tokugawa didn't like set the world on fire. He didn't melt people's faces off like, oh my god, he's so good. Like Gorgo back in the day was insane. But either way, you can run the Gorgo with Tokugawa. This will struggle a little bit against swarms, but can trade decent against most rallies. Of course, it struggles most against archers. There's no surprise there. If you see an Attila Subutai coming towards your flag or fort, this is a decent option to go with. Of course, you can use the Pincer Formation, especially now with Pincer 2, to get even more boosts to smite damage. And of course, Pincer 2, when we really break it down, is a little bit more geared towards rally garrison than most people probably expected. And of course, I mean, they're both smite damage, right? So like, what are we talking about? You go with the full smite damage build there, and really this is mostly a full infantry garrison, right? We're using 2 infantry commanders. You probably want to stuff this full of infantry troops. If you want to do a mixed like infantry priority but mixed garrison, there are other options which we'll talk about. And if we're talking about a full infantry garrison, this is probably the talent build I would point you towards. You grab balance, you grab burning blood over here in the defense tree, no weakness, spiked armor, and loose formation, which over the last couple of months has gotten buffed, which is really quite good. You come up here and you grab hold the line for infantry, you grab strong of body, 1 extra point in defense over here, and then you grab undying fury and iron spear. This is really great for those cav rallies. And then of course in the garrison tree you grab impregnable, which is only skill damage, but you might as well grab it. Empty fortress stratagem is a no-brainer. Impenetrable fortifications is great. We do not grab nowhere to turn. This is only for your city. And then you put a couple of points in defense and health over here. The reason that we don't put more points into the infantry tree or into the defense tree is because this is all march speed, right? So if you only have 3 points left over, you're not going to put it into march speed and then march speed. And then also over here we have 2 points into march speed, and then over here here we have some points into attack. So I guess if you wanted to go more towards the attack route, you could go this way, or if you want more defense, you go in this way. But either way, that's the kind of direction that I would point you in for a full infantry garrison with Gorgo. And then of course, when it comes to accessories, you can either do the horn with the greatest glory, or you could do the horn with the ring of doom. If you are looking for an infantry heavy garrison that can be more mixed, then you could do something like Gorgo primary and throw Hector behind her. Right now, Hector also struggles against swarms, and this also will struggle against archers, no surprise there, but Hector has a single target smite shot of 2600, and you take a little bit less damage there, which is quite good. You also have some health and defense on the second skill. You take less normal damage on the third skill, and when you're infantry, you deal more smite damage as well, 50% chance of that to trigger. And then the expertise here for Hector is, you know, if you're all infantry, you get 10% bonus. If you've got multiple troop types, you take 10% less smite combo or skill damage, so a little bit more tanky there for the mixture. Again, of course, you would do the Gorgo as the primary here, and the talent build would change a little bit. This would probably be a little bit better for something that's not exclusively infantry. So as you can see here, instead of grabbing something like hold the line and the extra defense, you would come up here and grab Testudo Formation, and that's going to cost you the extra points that we had over here as well. So that'll get you a couple of extra bursts of tankiness with Testudo Formation. It's only for 1 second, but it'll add up over the course of the exchange. And again, the Gorgo with the Hector is better in a more 1 versus 1 situation. And the last pairing that I want to talk about with the Gorgo is actually with Charles Martel, actually. And this is more of an anti-swarm garrison. Obviously, that is what Charles Martel is known for. He just gives you a ton of damage, a shield, nice tanky stats, and 30% more counterattack damage. But on top of that, he also has his museum relic, right? And that's going to get you 50% attack, 10% more health. And so again, this is the anti-swarm that you're looking for if what you want is to just melt everybody that's hitting you. Just keep in mind that usually for anti-swarm, you go with the arch formation because you just want to stack as much normal damage as possible. Normal damage increases your basic attacks every turn, but also your counterattack damage. So keep that in mind. Now let's move on to archers. And honestly, archer garrisons are in a decent spot right now, especially because of Hayam Wuruk and to an extent Choe Yeong as well. Now with Choe Yeong, we saw they went all in on healing strength and true damage. With Hayam Wuruk, we saw they kind of leaned back into the big skill shot damage to a single target with this garrison, but we also see the devourer effect, which gives you some amount of healing based on either direct damage or true damage. So there's a little bit of synergy there with the Choe Yeong. I don't know what the future of archer garrisons are going to be. I suspect they're going to kind of go back to the skill damage aspect of archers, but we'll have to wait and see. We're obviously at a point in time where they had to make Hayam work with the previous archer garrison, but it doesn't seem like he's all in on true damage, right? So either way, he is the latest and greatest for archers, and Hayam has a couple of different pairings, but he's really great at 1v1 exchanges. Now that's not to say he can't be built into an anti-swarm garrison, but he's not the #1 choice for that. But if you're just looking to win against a rally, Hayam is actually quite strong in that department, especially when paired with somebody like Hector. Both these commanders have really big single target skill shots, and so again, you have to be careful with the swarm, but if you're just hitting one target, this is quite good. You also take some rage away from that rally. Again, we've talked about Hector already, but he's got nice tanky stats here, and when paired with archers, you have a 50% chance to gain 30% skill damage for 5 seconds with a 7-second cooldown. So really great stuff. This is probably what you want to use if you see the CPO Ivar rally coming towards your flag, garrison, pass, whatever. The single target archers will crush it. Of course, with the Wedge formation, that's kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, the Hayam with Hector, probably something I would consider for passes, especially because this is, like I said, super swarmable, but really great against 1v1s. If you wanted something a little bit less swarmable, you could do the Hayam with Hera, and the advantage there is that Hera does do skill damage, right? He's old enough to still be a skill damage commander. 5 target circular AoE, and he has a mighty shield which stacks on top of regular shields. He gives you some nice health stats, a chance for counter attack damage, so that's what we're talking about when it comes to anti-swarm. And we also have a constant 20% bonus to skill damage, whereas with Hector we had a 50% chance of 30% for 5 seconds. So the consistency there is quite good with the skill damage bonus on Hera. More shielding, chance to deal damage with shield, skills, and the expertise here, when you've got 3 different troop types, reduces normal damage you take by 20%, which is actually insane. And so if you're running the Hayam with Hera, you want to lean archer heavy, but you definitely want some mixed troops in that garrison, so that way you get the bonus of the expertise on Hera. It's just too good to ignore completely, especially for archers. When it comes to talent builds, because Hayam has the skill tree, you're going to do something like this, where you put 3 points into rejuvenate, 3 points into clarity. You have the tried and true talents over in the garrison tree with impregnable, impenetrable fortifications, and empty fortress stratagem. And then in the archer tree, you grab venomous sting, of course, tons of extra skill damage here. Razor sharp gets you the extra rage that you need. And then we've got a couple of points left over. We put 3 into arrows knocked. You're going to have this for a majority of the battle, and rapid fire gets 2 points. You don't have 3 left over, unfortunately. You only have 2. This is for normal damage, but as you guys know, archers scale off of skill damage. This is just your white numbers every turn, and so you would rather have the extra point in the attack, because the attack is going to boost not only your normal damage but also your skill damage, right? So a little bit of a micro optimization there, but the last 2 points go into rapid fire, and that's pretty much it. Whether you're running him with Hera or you're running him with Hector, this is probably the way that you want to go. And the last archer garrison I want to talk about is actually mainly for Artifact KvKs. I'm not going to get too deep into the Artifact garrison meta in this video. Okay, maybe that's a whole other video, but the Choe Yeong primary with Charles Martel secondary, of course, with the artifact to turn him into an archer commander, is quite devastating, right? I mean, if we're talking about, again, anti-swarm archer garrison, this is probably what you're looking for if you're in those KvKs where you can have Martel be an archer commander, right? That 30% extra counterattack damage and the all damage here, tons of stats from his kit and from his relic, totally insane. And really, like, if you look at the expertise of Choe Yeong, 25% more counterattack damage. If the target troop has fewer units than this commander's troop, you gain another 15% counterattack damage, and then you gain another 30% counterattack damage from Charles Martel. This thing is an absolute monster if it's being swarmed down, and so I just had to mention it here. It's absolutely disgusting. And there's other places for Choe Yeong in the garrison meta, but a lot of times you actually see him in Artifact KvKs where you have him as a secondary to either cavalry or to infantry, right? So I wanted to just throw him at least here in the archer section with this one commander pairing, even though he is used a ton in Artifact garrisons just for other troop types, so they technically wouldn't be archers. All right, folks, let's move on to cavalry. And right now, Attila David is absolutely disgusting. I'm pretty sure this is the best garrison in the game right now, which is kind of insane considering Attila is a rally commander. But as we see in 2026, Attila is able to do whatever he wants. Basically, he could be a rally lead, he could be a garrison lead, he could be a field commander if you want. He just kind of does it all because his active skill is a ton of damage amplification for 4 seconds. He takes less skill damage, has a ton of extra attack for calves. He has bursts of damage on the 4th skill, and the expertise says he can't be silenced. You deal 20% more normal damage to troops with less than 50%, and that is an absolute killer right there. And that's because, as you guys know, combo damage scales off of normal damage, right? And so in a rally garrison exchange, you get this for a majority of the battle. Once that falls below 50%, boom, 20% more normal damage the entire time on top of what you get from the active skill. He's an absolute monster. Okay, and then you pair him with David, who is actually a proper cavalry garrison commander, and he gives Attila everything Attila actually wants, right? A big fan-shaped AoE. You can cleanse some debuffs on that garrison, even more skill damage taken reduction, tons of defense here, which you don't have on the Attila out of the box. He gives himself a small bonus to combo damage, some extra combo attacks here. He debuffs the target for more combo attacks, and you also take 10% less damage, and if the target has less than 50% units remaining, you deal 5% more damage. So another mini damage amplification there. Totally insane stuff. I mean, this is an absolutely cracked garrison. It is insane how strong this thing is. This thing can hold its own against a 1v1 rally. It also is an absolute demon when it's getting swarmed down. I mean, anytime you're swarming an Attila, you're gonna get melted, right? So this garrison right now seems to be absolutely dominant, which is crazy because historically, like I said, Cavs haven't been the garrison meta. I mean, they've always had good garrisons, but typically you would see Cavs as either rally meta or field meta, right? But right now, Attila just makes it so you could be whatever you want with Cavs, and this is no exception. Now, of course, you're running the arch formation here. That is usually the case with Attila, especially if you want that anti-swarm. farm. And then when it comes to talent builds, unfortunately my Attila is not level 60, but you put 3 points into fight to the death. The 6% more damage is just worth it here. I mean, this garrison is all about damage. Effortless is of course insane in a rally garrison scenario because you are actually going to be in that exchange for quite a while, so you'll be able to stack this up, which is really good. You grab Lord of War along the way, you grab Burning Blood as well for the extra rage. Armored Joints is a little bit of tankiness. You also grab Martial Mastery over here and you put 3 points into Unyielding. Okay, so even more counterattack damage, which is crazy. In the Cav tree you put 4 points into Emblazoned Shield. That's a no-brainer there. You just take less skill damage. 3 points into Undying Fury, 3 points into Halberd to kill those archers off, and along the way you're going to grab Dragon Saber here as well for extra normal damage. And then you're going to have a couple of points left over, not enough to grab Disarm, so you come over here and you grab Buckler's Shield. You take 9% less counterattack damage, which is fine. It's not the best thing in the world. It used to be much better back in the day, but it's not nothing, and so we grab this, especially if you're going to get swarmed. If they're foolish enough to swarm this garrison, at least you get this benefit against all troops that are hitting you, and that's pretty much it. So again, right now this seems to be the best garrison in the game at this point. We'll have to wait and see how that changes moving into the future. We're getting again a new rally commander in the form of cavalry, so we'll see if maybe the infantry garrisons take a little bit more of the spotlight just to counter that, or maybe you're just going to run the Attila David to counter Cavs as well. Who knows? Again, at the end of the year when we see a new infantry garrison, maybe that will take the spotlight, but for right now it's Cavs, no doubt. Now if you don't have the Attila or you don't have a proper arch formation, the other Cav garrison that's working right now is the David with the Hector. Okay, now we've talked about Hector a ton on this video, and it's because he is a leadership commander, and so you can slap him behind anybody and he works really well there. The David Hector is a combo damage garrison, whereas the obviously the arch formation with the normal damage is what you're going to be using for the Attila. But the David with Hector is great for 1v1s. It's just much more swarmable than the Attila David, obviously, but David himself, like I said before, really nice combo damage, AoE swing in a fan shape, clears the debuffs, quite tanky himself. And like I said, Hector has a bunch of tanky stats here as well. When he's paired with cavalry, he also deals combo damage, right? So 2800 to a single target. This is why he's great for the garrison, because he's mainly just hitting that one target, and you make them take more normal damage, which is really good. You also have extra combo attacks here on the 3rd skill, and you can get that 20% normal damage bonus here on the 4th skill as well. So this is another cavalry garrison option if again what you want is a great trading 1v1 garrison. And this is also something to watch in the future when they inevitably release Delta 2. That should be coming sometime in, I'm guessing, end of November, but maybe it'll come a little bit sooner than that. They did say November, but with Pincer 2 they said it would come in August, and it actually came like right at the end of July, right? So who knows? They said that Delta 2 is coming in November. Maybe it'll come right at the end of October, right? Like right for Halloween. That would be the scariest thing ever, is a new formation. But either way, I'm betting sometime in November, hopefully end of November, but we'll have to wait and see. I know Cavs are like really feeling shafted by the fact that they don't actually have a 2.0 formation yet, but I wanted to at least mention this here. When it comes to a talent build, you're going to put 3 points into Impenetrable over here, so you take less damage. You're going to have this for a large portion of time in the fight. You grab Blizzard of Blows for the health reduction. You also come over here and grab Walk in the Park to take less normal damage, and then along the way you gain No Quarter, which is rage for combo attacks, bonus damage on Force of Nature, bonus combo attack damage on Colossus, and then you also grab more normal damage on Dragon Saber. Like before with the Cav tree, you grab Emblazoned Shield, 3 points into Dragon Saber, 2 points into Halberd. I just realized that these actually have the exact same name. I wonder if they meant to do that. Either way, in the Garrison tree you're going to grab the tried and true Impregnable, Impenetrable Fortifications, and Empty Fortress Stratagem, and you are good to go. Just make sure you run the Horn of Fury here, because you're not going to have Undying Fury, so that's going to be in your accessory slot for sure. The other slot will be either the Greatest Glory or the Ring of Doom. And then finally, let's talk about leadership garrisons right now. And honestly, this is clearly for mixed troops, right? I mean, that's the whole point of a leadership garrison. I saved this for last because there's really only one pair I want to talk about here, and also because this is kind of like an oh shit garrison. And what I mean by oh shit garrison is like, oh shit, we don't have enough of any specific troop type, we need to just stuff it with whatever. You're throwing siege in there, right? Like, this is a last resort garrison. This is for when your real garrison leaders are offline and you're just saying, oh shit, what do we do? This is something you could use. Okay, so again, I want to make it clear, this leadership garrison is not something that I would like rely on to make or break the KvK for you, okay, because you're probably going to be disappointed. But in a pinch, if you've got nothing better, then maybe you could try to do something like this. And the pairing that we're going to talk about is the Hera primary with the YSS secondary. Now again, you're going to look at that and say, wow, YSS, that's from 2021, must be an old pair. Yeah, it's an old pair. That's why this is the oh shit Garrison. Okay, but like we talked about before, Hera has the circular AoE. He also has the shielding, some tanky stats here. You're going to get even more shields, some extra stats here, and then also if you have 3 different troop types, you take 20% less normal damage. Okay, so Hera is kind of self-explanatory. YSS, for those of you that forgot because he's been around in the game for so long, very weak AoE on the active skill here, a chance for defense and all damage, which is not bad, right? Really not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Third skill gives you guaranteed defense, and when you fall under 50%, you deal 20% more damage. That's kind of like the claim to fame for YSS, the reason he was Garrison meta for so long, the fact that we're even talking about him still. When the total Garrison is under 50%, you get 20% all damage, and what you're going to notice is that you have this up for a majority of the fight. In some cases, if you have leftover troops from a previous rally attempt, then you may even start the battle with this 20% if there's tons of like slightly woundeds that are still left over in the garrison. So that's one of the best parts about him. Of course, because it's all damage, that works against swarmers as well. You gain some attack here on the 4th skill and a chance to gain a shield. So again, with Hera having mighty shields, these shields can stack, and also there's some synergy with shielding here. If you have a shield, you deal direct damage, right? So there's a little bit of that synergy there with the shielding factor. Bonus to counterattack damage. Of course, both these commanders have counterattack damage, and if you have mixed troop types, you gain 40% more stats. Okay, so this is once again the oh shit Garrison. I wouldn't recommend using this all the time, but again, if you must do this, then you could try it, see how it works. If you're running out of troops as a kingdom or whatever, this might be something you could consider. As far as talents go, you're going to grab strategic prowess. You're also going to grab the arm to the teeth talent because you will have multiple troop types here. Hidden wrath for the extra rage. Healing herbs you just grab along the way, unfortunately. In the defense tree, you grab balance, you grab testudo formation, you grab loose formation, and you grab no weakness. There's really no change there. The defense tree often has those. And then in the garrison tree, like I've been saying all video, the same 3 talents here: impregnable, empty fortress stratagem, and then impenetrable fortifications. You'll have 3 points left over after you grab everything we just touched on, and your best bet is probably putting 2 points in defense and 1 point in health here. Otherwise, you would have to grab 2 points of attack and half a point of normal damage, and you're not dealing combo or smite damage here, so that extra half a point of normal damage probably won't move the needle. So I would point you towards the tanky stats over here as opposed to the attack, because either way, this thing is probably not going to trade well. It just might survive maybe. For the formation, you really are going to have to just use whatever the best thing is that you've got. Ideally, you might consider the hollow square, but like I don't really know many people who built hollow square, even for garrisons. Like it's often either arch or it's the troop specific garrison that you're running, right? So again, obviously you wouldn't run delta or pincer here. It's either going to be wedge, arch, or hollow square. I would not build a formation for this garrison specifically in 2026. Okay, so again, just use the best thing you have. It's probably your arch formation, if not your wedge, or if you've got hollow square, you could try it. And that's pretty much going to do it for the video, guys. I know I didn't really cover any artifact garrisons besides Choe Yeong. It just felt weird making this guide without at least talking about him because he is very relevant today. It just so happens to be mostly an artifact KvKs, and I know that there are other garrison pairings out there, right? Like it's not impossible to see like an Eleanor somewhere out there at some point, right? Like there are other garrisons that can be used, but for the most part, I wanted to just cover like the best of the best right now. And so hopefully you found this video useful or informative, and if you did and you made it all the way to the end, please consider dropping a thumbs up on the video. It really does help out the channel a ton, and it will tell me that you want more guides for rally and garrison. I will try to do my best to update you guys with the rally garrison meta in the future. I will just give a quick shout out at the end of this video. If you are ever curious about the rally garrison meta, you can always check out the King's Codex or meta-rock.com. Those guys are super fast with updating you on what the best rally or garrison metas are. So if you don't want to wait for a YouTuber, whether it's me or Chiskel or whoever else, those guys probably have the answer you're looking for, so check them out. Even I occasionally am referencing their information because Rise of Kingdoms is just, there's just so much to know about this game. Like it's been around for years and all of this information has just accumulated over time, and so it's like impossible to know everything, and so they're just a fantastic resource. I'm not partnered with them or anything like that. It's just great resource, deserves a shout out always. With that being said, let me know in the comments section below, are there any garrisons that I missed in this video that you think are super strong? Let me know down below. And how do you think this this is going to change with the upcoming cavalry commanders landing in Rise of Kingdoms, Ivan and William Marshall. I think that's more going to change the rally meta, but then of course we're gonna have to adjust garrisons to reflect that, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works. And as a reminder, you guys might think you're subscribed to the channel but you're actually not. Double check down below. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.